Hi, I'm Teresa, the London organic grower. Welcome to my channel. I hope that you enjoy it. Give me a thumbs up if you do. Swiss chard is doing wonderfully. They're looking really nice. I might crop some of these to go with the lettuce leaves that are under here. And again, we put these under here because the birds just like to eat them. So they're really easy just to lift off like this, and as you can see, they are a lovely crop of lettuces ready to pick. On the Swiss chard front, we've got this one called, I think it's called peppermint, and it really looks pretty when it's picked as a bunch. It looks really lovely. So I've grown quite a bit of this alongside some of the yellow chard, and I think I'll mix some of this in with our lettuces. Here on plot one, we've also got a third succession of dwarf beans, and they are looking wonderful. I'm going to put one more sowing in, directly sowing into the ground over on plot 3, but these will keep us going now for some time, and I'm going to can a lot of these beans to take us through to the winter. I just wanted to show you something else. In this little glass area over here, other than the weeds, we grew some physalis. I don't know if you can see them, but we've also got a couple of volunteer tomato plants, and we have had blight on our side, and I've had to rip up all of our tomatoes. So I've decided that when we weed this little patch, which is weedy, a little later on, I'm going to leave those 3 volunteer tomatoes, they must have come from the compost, and see if we can get anything. Given that we haven't got any tomatoes, every little helps, as they say. I wanted to share with you my attempt on 3 sisters. As I've said in previous videos, we only do 2 sisters, just because I think everything is all a little bit too cramped. So you can see the pumpkins are escaping here, but are doing really well. And I have seen some small pumpkins, maybe not on this plant, but I can show you some others. The sweet corn are doing well as well, but look, the beans are climbing up the sweet corn. So yeah, we'll see. And also I popped some lettuces in over here, down here, to do 4 sisters, and they have now all been cropped and were a welcome little treat earlier on in the year. So I don't know that I'd do 4 sisters again. Oh, I might do, because those lettuces did come out, they hearted, and they did come out. I'm not convinced about the beans yet, as I'm worried that between the courgettes and the bean leaves, whether it will stop the sweet corn from fertilizing, because this needs to drop onto these, which haven't come out yet, the little silks that come out of the tops of the sweet corn, to pollinate them. As you can see when I'm coming here. So I'm a little concerned that there's too much leaf growth going on, that they won't fall on top of the silks to pollinate the sweet corn. But it's all an experiment, and if it doesn't work, we won't do it again. There's some more nice little bean flowers coming up. on plot 1 are our first sowing of dwarf beans, and I think I've had there were 3 rows of beans along here, and from those 3 rows of beans I've had 3 large basketfuls of dwarf beans. Thank heavens we have neighbours, friends and families, but they're getting very sad now, and I've started to take some of them out because it's not worth the backache for 2 or 3 beans when we have so many coming along. We have another succession crop of beans going on here, which will help. These 2 rows were put in slightly later, and the variety of this bean seems to keep them producing much longer than the purple and yellow ones. So today I'm going to just check what beans are viable, take out the other ones, and then it will allow some space across here for sowing some quick cropping vegetables, turnips, radishes, mooli, lettuce, all sorts of things in that space, ready for later on in the year. Well, these are some of the best carrots I've grown, and I don't have any carrot fly, which is fantastic. I set this as my challenge for this year. Whoops, I think half of that's still in the ground. But I set this as my challenge this year to grow carrots, decent sized carrots, with no carrot fly. And blimey, I've done it. So I'm so pleased, even though I've lost all of my tomatoes to blight, and we've had to lift all of the potatoes to blight. This is a prize in itself, so consolation but fantastic. And this variety of carrot is called Sweet Candle. This is Comfrey, which is growing on the plot just along here. It has beautiful blue flowers which the bees absolutely adore, but if it sets seed, this comfrey goes everywhere, and when the roots get down into the ground, they're really hard to clear. I also grow some around this compost bin that I've just cut down and chopped up into this bucket. Well, it's a 50-litre bin, and I've got about 3 of these, so the comfrey I'm cutting down now will be making feed for probably later on this year. And comfrey feed is great, because it's free, and it's just, you use it the same as tomato feed, except it's free of charge, obviously, because if you grow it yourself. You do have to be careful that you don't let the comfrey seed, and you have to keep it under control. The roots of the comfrey go very, very deep, and once established, the plant is very hard to get rid of, which is why if it seeds, you should try and get rid of them before they establish themselves, because you'll have a problem after. And because the roots go very deep, it brings up lots of minerals and trace elements from deep in the ground and comes up in the leaves, which is why comfrey tea is fantastic for fruiting plants such as tomatoes, peppers, chilies, anything really that you would use regular tomato feed for. So after I've crammed as much comfrey as I possibly can into the buckets, into the bins, I put a couple of these bricks on just to help weight it down as it's rotting down, to try and push it under the fluids. And I've got this bin, and there's 2 more around the other side, and it makes this black fluid, which luckily you haven't got smelly vision, as they call it, because it absolutely stinks. But it stinks less, in my particular view, than when you soak the comfrey in water and you rot it down that way. It just is a little bit less stinky. But if you decide to make some comfrey tea, this is then diluted 1 in 10 with water and used exactly like you would a tomato feed. As I've already mentioned probably several times, that we've lost all of our tomatoes to blight, I do remember thinking to myself, I'll trial some different varieties of tomatoes, and I did put in 3 Crimson Crush, and I've just been clearing this area of some of the other tomatoes, and these 3 plants are the only ones that do not have any blight, and I think this must be the Crimson Crush. I've taken about 8 to 10 tomatoes, ripe tomatoes from here. I've never tasted Crimson Crush before, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they taste like, but given how bad the blight was, I'm very impressed. And what I've decided to do is to not grow them as cordons, one straight plant, but to let them bush out and have a number of stems, so that way that will increase the crop that we get. There's the tomatoes there. So we may have a few for suppers after all. I think I shall do this again next year, put a few Crimson Crush in, or a blight resistant tomato. The recent heavy rains have really brought the courgettes on. I only picked these 2 days ago, but you wouldn't believe it. Look at this lot that I've just cut. Gosh, I'm going to have to find some unsuspecting neighbour or friends that's going to take some of these, because there's an awful lot more coming. And yep, I think another day or two and I'll be picking the same amount. Not only have the courgettes gone ballistic, but so have the ridge cucumbers. Oh dear, that looks a bit painful. And we have cucumbers absolutely everywhere. So I shall take a little while and crop all of these cucumbers and find some other people that might want some. You can see where the rain has hit. Look how bulbous it is. Oh, I can't see that. You have so many cucumbers. Oh my gosh. There's another one in a painful situation there. So I should deal with these and see how many we get. Thank you for watching my channel. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next time, I'll see you again. Bye.